Rising. We have another great show planned for you today, of course. Take it away, Briahna.
Well, Robby, the think tank leader who claims to have given the FBI information about Hunter Biden's criminal wrongdoings, has been arrested on charges of being an unregistered agent of China. Prosecutors also accused Dr. Gao Luft of brokering illicit arms deals to sell weapons to Libya, the United Arab Emirates, and Kenya. On Monday, the U.S. Attorney's Office released the indictment against the U.S.-Israeli dual citizen who was arrested in Cyprus in February on charges of willfully failing to register under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, or FARA, arms trafficking, Iranian sanctions violations, and making false statements to federal agents.
In a video obtained by the New York Post, Luft says the U.S. government arrested him to stop his testimony before the House Oversight Committee. Let's watch.
I, who volunteered to inform the U.S. government about potential security breach and about compromising information about a man vying to be the next president, am now being hunted by the very same people whom I informed and may have to live on the run for the rest of my life.
Senator Ron Johnson defended Luft during a Fox News appearance. Let's watch.
He's got a wealth of information, but they never followed up on that meeting. Instead, they arrested him in Cyprus to silence him. They could have gone to Israel. He resides in Israel. We have extradition treaties, but they instead arrest him in Cyprus. Now, he's literally fleeing for his life right now. He's on the run. He's an important witness. He needs to be granted immunity to be able to testify and tell his story.
Luft could face up to 100 years in prison if he's convicted of the 8 counts against him, of which he is denied to the New York Post. That's unlikely that he would be, that's if he got the maximum sentences and they weren't concurrent at all.
This, look, this raises I have some skepticism. I think people like Ron Johnson might be being a little credulous of this figure. It seems convenient to me that he would have, these are very serious things he's been charged with. Potentially arms trafficking. These are things involving foreign adversaries of ours. What is he doing on behalf of China? What is he doing on behalf of Iran? These are serious matters that he's essentially an international fugitive, and he is saying, oh, but I have information on Hunter Biden, so I should have immunity, so it should all be waved away. That seems like, okay, I could go out, commit a bunch of crimes, and say, wait, you can't arrest me because I know all about Hunter Biden. And every Republican would go, yeah, this is an important key witness. Like, if he does have information, we would like to hear it. And I think it would be perfectly fine for the Justice Department. They should structure some deal for him contingent on him supplying actually valid info that leads to some that is helpful to an investigation into Hunter Biden. If you want to structure it that he's going to get time off or he's going to get house arrest or something, that if he actually has the information, absolutely, let's make that happen. But that's not what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing is I want to totally get off. I'm being hunted and I should get off because I have information. I won't say what information I have. It seems unlikely to me. No?
Yeah, well, he not only has claim that he has information about the Biden crime family, but the kinds of things that he has been accused of are exactly the kind of inappropriate foreign interference that is sort of being alleged about the Bidens, which is both ironic and I think goes to his credibility. Certainly it is possible that he, like many other people on the planet, might have some information about inappropriate behavior from the Bidens, but the timing of this and the way that it is exploiting some genuine concerns about the weaponization of the government and federal prosecutors feels it feels
like we're
suspicious.
Being taken for a ride. I mean, look, it would not be, if he was trying to broker, he was doing influence peddling, which is also what Hunter Biden has been accused of, with China or Eastern Europe or wherever it was, and Hunter Biden was doing that, and he has knowledge of Hunter Biden's actions. It would be normal operating procedure for a prosecuting entity within the U.S. government to say, okay, well, we're really after Hunter Biden because he's the more socially significant, politically significant figure. So, what can you testify to against him, and then will you flip on him, that kind of thing. So that if that opportunity is there and they're not doing that, that would be suspicious. But there's just no evidence that that he actually has anything. in the first place.
Even if there were some kind of deal cut, it wouldn't absolve him of what sound like incredibly serious crimes. Weapon sales to, Kenya and China and the United Arab Emirates. These are serious. They are serious, but these are crimes that have a concurrent, 100-year life sentence. It won't be anywhere close to that, but still, those are substantial crimes. So even if it were mediated down to a much lower level, this isn't a situation where the guy gets to go scot-free and live his life because he had what exactly kind of information about Hunter Biden? And the fact that he is offering this up in this context, as opposed to over the last 2.5 years that Joe Biden has been president, also indicates that there's not a lot of, civic, this doesn't seem like a patriotic need for this guy to let us know what's been going on with the President of the United States. It seems self-serving, and therefore I'm skeptical about the veracity of what his claims are.
I'm skeptical too, because I agree that it seems self-serving. I mean, if they can make it sound scarier and more nefarious than it actually is. It could be all of these contacts he's had with foreign entities would have been allowed and appropriate. He just needed to register under the FARA statute. Sure. It could, again, part of it is misleading investigators, which is the easiest crime to commit because the investigators, if they don't like the way you talk to them, will charge you with that. So if they want to make it look really, the duration of the potential sentence, right? Every federal charge carries a gazillion years in prison. So it can.
There's misleading federal prosecutors, and then there's arms sales. There's illegal arms sales.
Right, well, I mean, it's not proven. It's what they're alleging.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, and we'll figure out what happens as the prosecution moves forward.
I mean, I'm trying to be in the middle here. I'm not going to just wholesale accept what the U.S. government is telling me about this individual.
Sure,
which could be totally inflated. It could be everything he's saying is true, and they're out to get him, and he does have information. I just don't see any underlying. That's one theory. Another theory, that's the Republican theory. The other theory being he's kind of a crook and he was doing all sorts of bad stuff and they're totally legitimate to go after him and he doesn't really have any information about Hunter Biden. I don't know how one can. I mean, one is just preferring one explanation to the other. It's just guesswork. I don't know.
Sure. I do think that at a certain point there has to be some responsibility of vetting claims even just a little bit before there is this rush to believe what might be true because there are sometimes conspiracies. I'm very open to arguments that the government behaves poorly, conspiratorially, illegally. That has been proven over and over again. But at a certain point, I do wonder if conservatives who are very much leaning in to arguments about the weaponization of the federal government are going to encounter a boy cries wolf wall.
Yeah.
There are much stronger claims to be made. I think there's probably some legitimacy. It would be impossible for there not to be some legitimacy to the argument that the Biden administration has made some effort to grease the runway for Hunter Biden's criminal misconduct, right? It would be almost negligent from a parental perspective for him not to try to do what he could. I'm not saying it's appropriate or right, but it's very plausible to believe that even if he didn't violate the law, there's something called prosecutorial discretion, and it seems reasonable to make the argument that Hunter Biden is not being held to the same standard as other individuals who have violated the laws that he has violated. That, I think, they're on safe ground. I think it is obvious that the very nature of bringing charges against a former president are political and that choices are being made there, given all of the other people like Mike Pence and Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden himself who have committed the same sorts of document crimes that Donald Trump is now being charged with. I think that's a solid case. Stay there. But when you're getting into this realm where you're taking characters that seem kind of shifty and not especially credible, like Luft, and wrapping them in the same protective arguments that are being applied to these other figures in much more credible context, I do worry at a certain point that you're undermining your own claims. And I wonder if there's a conservative audience that eventually is going to be exhausted by living in a cloak of conspiracies.
Sure. But I'm just saying, but the Justice Department prosecutors rely on evidence and testimony from shifty characters in order to get bigger fish all the time. So if they were specifically not doing it in this case, that would tell you something. But again, that's a hypothetical because we don't know that he actually does know anything.
Might the thing that I'd be telling you is that there's not much there, or there's not anything there.
It could be because there's not anything there, or it could be because it's politicized and they're trying to protect
But think
Hunter
about
Biden.
the posture.
We don't know either way.
Just for a second, if he believes he's being prosecuted and persecuted because of information that he has with respect to Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, that to me is an argument that he should reveal that information so that he's no longer the threat. If it's out there, then
what he's saying is he'll reveal that information for an immunity deal.
Right, but that's not typically that's incompatible with his argument that the justice system is biased toward Joe Biden and doesn't want to charge him or his son or anybody else in his family with anything. If you believe you're dealing with a biased justice system, why on earth would you think that they are interested in information that you have to go after the guy that you think they're biased in favor of? What you would want to do is insulate yourself from persecution, which is what he's arguing now, that he's being attacked and jailed because he has information that is inconvenient to the Biden administration. You would want to get it out there on the open so that, one, there's no longer any incentive to shut you up. That's what he's claiming, that they're trying to silence me because I have information on the Biden crime family. Like that's his argument. So to me, that's inconsistent with the idea that the Justice Department is here to protect Biden. Of course, if it's what they are arguing, and if the Justice Department is biased, why would you expect them to go out of their way to make a deal with you to get the guy that you think that they're protecting? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, he's going public so that he gets some political protection from the anti-Biden forces that might, now that it's in the open, now that it's known that he has something from his perspective, the prosecutors will be forced to actually acknowledge this reality.
That seems deeply naive to me, and that if he really wants political protection and for people to take him seriously, given the charges that are against him and his own incentives.
But that's obviously not. If he actually has some information, which I am not saying that he does, but if he actually has it, he should not reveal it until he gets a immunity deal.
Yeah, my argument is that why would they give you an immunity deal? If you believe that the prosecutors are biased for Joe Biden, why would they protect you? Why would they lessen your sentence to go after a guy that you think they want to protect?
Well, right. He's pointing out that they're not going to do that. So
then he should go public.
The fire on
right.
them.
So then his argument should be protecting himself by going public.
Well, but
because that's what insulates
not going
him.
To protect him because they're still going to prosecute him.
Maximizing the perception that he's being prosecuted on a political basis is what offers him protection, not a plea deal that he's never going to get from a disinterested prosecutor in his own framing. The alternative is that the prosecutor's offices are fair, that they're absolutely willing to go against Joe Biden, that they are happy to take any information that he has and cut him a deal, in which case he has to let go, and these conservatives have to let go of the argument that there's all this bias here.
I don't think this is inconsistent at all. From his standpoint, and again, I'm not suggesting that he actually knows anything or actually has any information. From his standpoint, it was they were coming after him, even though he could flip and have information about Hunter Biden, and it became clear that they're not actually interested in that. So then he has to publicly proclaim this. Look, I have information on Hunter Biden that they're not interested in hearing, in hopes that now that is public knowledge, they're not trying to hunt him down and kill him, but now they have to go, oh, well, now he's made this a public thing.
That's a little bit
we
of
have
the
to pursue
the why did they arrest him in
Well, I mean, he's explicitly said it's because he was going to testify before some committee. So that seems like an easy factual matter to clear up. Was he actually invited to testify before?
Well, no, I'm saying why the insinuation seemed to be that they arrested him in Crete as opposed to Israel because
in Cyprus.
In Cyprus, because it's somehow coercive. They're trying to get him. They would have to go around the law.
They're threatening him. Israeli government turn him over because we have extradition with him. Although that doesn't necessarily mean that they would have turned him over.
Right, but what's the implication there? So why? Yeah, I'm just saying that there's a lot of insinuation that if you follow the thread, is deeply contradictory to everything else that's being said here. That's all. And hopefully we'll get the truth soon. There's hopefully ample opportunities for him to say his truth.
Well, Insider has reached out to Christopher Clark, a lawyer for Hunter Biden, who did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the matter. More Rising right after this.